go somewhere like a barbecue place or a soul food restaurant, and their mac and cheese isn't good, I'm probably not going to trust the rest of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you can't do mac and cheese right, then I don't trust you in the kitchen with a grill.
Because mac and cheese is one of those things. It is, and here's where I go off on a tangent.
Bring it.
Mac and cheese is one of the. It's simple, but you can do a lot with it.
Yeah.
You just got to make sure that you know how to boil the water, cook the noodles al dente, and then throw like a fuck ton of cheese sauce or cheese, whatever you got to do.
The technical part is metric fuck
sauce.
ton of
Yeah.
cheese. Yeah.
Imagine, like you want a good cheese to noodle ratio.
Absolutely.
You want it to be a little bit like.
And look, I feel like we're probably going to be on the same page, but there's got to be a good crust to it. Like it's got to have a nice cheese crust.
I don't know. I think
I can see like a good
like a casserole.
If there's no like cheese crust to it, then the noodles gotta have not
They
be like
be
super
exceptional.
soggy. You want like,
You
a
better
little
not
bit
have
of
no
bite
bitch
to it.
noodles.
Right.
I like that. No bitch noodles in my
I don't want it to be like it's those little
And if it's a
tubs
side,
of
not the
microwave
crap.
mac
I
and
want those
cheese.
Right, those are awful.
Those are terrible.
Right. I want
They
those.
always overcook the
I want those
noodles. Get that shit
Monsanto noodles. Goddamn! I want those beast noodles.
No, yeah, you have to have thick noodles, right?
Yeah. Thick noodles.
Thick noodles.
It is the size of the noodle.
And I think that's, you touched on this, is the greatest asset of mac and cheese is not that it is simple, but that in the simplicity you can get so extravagant.
Yeah.
Right?
Like you can
There's so many kinds of cheeses and shit.
You
that
can do
so many
like
kinds
a
of
three
noodles
cheese.
you can
Throw
do.
some
mac and
bacon in
cheese.
there.
Throw
you
some
know?
bacon in there.
Throw
Throw
some
some buffalo chicken in there.
Yeah.
What I used to do with, I would call it omelet mac and cheese. I didn't throw eggs in there, but I would always like chop up just some sliced turkey. I'd chop up like some peppers and onions and just like kind of toss those in a pan real quick and then throw them in with the mac and cheese and just stir it up and it, cheap dinner.
And it's a
Spice
complete
it up a
meal
little
at that point.
Yeah, you're full, you're happy, and you're watching Lost.
Exactly. Well, I went to a company shindig, and they said the meal here is free. Like, cool. What do you got? They had 3 different types of macaroni and cheese. I was like, what you got? They said we've got a supreme mac and cheese, which was the big shell noodles, like peppers and a bunch of veggies in it and all that, and then the next one was macaroni and cheese with pulled pork in it. So I was come on, let's roll.
Little sauce drizzle.
Yeah.
Get it.
And then the third one was I was too nervous about this one to try it, but shrimp macaroni and cheese.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, well, I mean, more power to you, but no, I'll stay over here.
Yeah, not for you. And that's, I mean, everybody's got their mac and cheese that they like.
Absolutely.
You seen that video of the dude going off
Yes.
on the cooking show because they started having like Brussels sprouts and
Yeah.
squash with mac and cheese? That's kind of like me. Like, I'm a little bit of a snob where there is a hard line
Yeah.
on what goes in mac and cheese and what does not go in mac and cheese.
Yeah.
For me, anybody can do what they want with it, right? This is back to the NFL thing, right?
Yeah.
You can do what you want and you can feel how you feel,
For sure.
whatever's good for you,
Right.
But for me, there's like 3 acceptable meats that go in mac and cheese. If you're gonna put if you're gonna put a vegetable in there, for some reason it's got to be peas. My mom made like a mac and cheese casserole with peas in it when I was a kid. That was great. Crust or no crust, I don't really care.
The peas add to the creaminess.
Yeah. You get a little bit of texture, a little bite to them. You know?
Yeah, we talked about this last time. Yeah, peas had a little bit of creaminess to it. I feel like with mac and cheese, like you gotta have, if you're gonna throw shit in there, if you're gonna get big with it, you gotta have one meat. You don't want to do 2 meats unless there's like a bacon crumblies on top. But it has to go with the other meat. It has to add to the flavor of the other meat.
Right. There's got to be a leader and there's got to be an assistant.
Right.
You can't.
Or you just have the one.
Let's
the
do
one
steak and
main
chicken.
guy.
Like,
No,
Get
the fuck bacon with chicken with bacon crumblies on top.
Absolutely.
Perfect. You do your regular cheese sauce. You throw a little bit of you can do an additional cheese as long as it's a different texture or similar enough texture, but with a different flavor.
Right.
You can do a couple different veggies as long as they make sense. Anything else is bullshit. Breadcrumbs on top. Perfect.
Fair.
Honestly, I don't know what kind of veggies you can put in besides peas. I like a nice and
crispy
I feel
onions.
like people
make like a
disagree with me
supreme
on this point, which is fine. But like you throw peas and tuna in there, you know.
That was the old macaroni casserole, man. That's the way that it is. It's just,
And then you get a nice little crust on top.
It's weird because I think those shouldn't go together, but
they do.
Somehow they do.
Yeah.
Now,
That's what I love about food is there's some stuff that you wouldn't think goes together, and then you try it, and you're like,
that does. And on that, I'm not a big mustard fan. Like I'll have it like deviled eggs and stuff like that, but throwing it on a hot dog, I'm like, okay, just calm down on it. Really. I don't need my hot dog swimming in the bun. But
is that what you call it?
A little bit of euphemismery. But there is a recipe going around the internet for macaroni and cheese that has a little bit of cream and a little bit of mustard thrown in there.
Oh, yeah?
And the mustard kicks the cheese up a little bit to where you don't even notice the mustard. It's just it's there to as a multiplier for the cheese. It's like I would have never thought that.
I feel you. I found it might be the same recipe. It's like Dijon. It's very specific about the type of mustard.
Exactly.
Because you do have to be a little like mustard. Also has a variety of things. Like stone ground is my shit.
Yeah,
stone ground mustard on a brat. Give me that any day of the week, and we're going to town.
Yeah.
But when it comes to mac and cheese,
whose parents like run Bogies. So
so
he's like, anytime you need a crate of it, it's like,
I need a crate of it.
I need a crate of it.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Me and Julian will
stop at
split
one?
one.
Right. Yeah. They sell it by the keg.
we got Bochies on tap, bitch.
That's a kickstand. I don't even want to.
If you guys don't mind, let's continue with the barbecue thing.
Of course.
Because you brought up mustard, and I feel like people are really divided on this one here. And so I'm just curious.
Oh, shit.
Potato salad. How do you like it?
You don't want yellow mustard in a potato salad can overpower. If you put like even a little bit too much, you're like, oh, it tastes like fucking mustard.
Right.
Like you want your potatoes to be well flavored, and you want your sauce to have not too much mustard.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing with like deviled eggs.
So you like a white potato, like just like a mayonnaise.
Little bit of like I prefer like
the
Dijon mustard in potato salad over yellow mustard. I know a lot of people are like yellow mustard all the way, but you don't want too much because I've had some potato salads where like this is mustard sauce.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe my mom just made the perfect potato salad, but it was potatoes, pickles, onions, mustard, a few other things. She would like shave carrots,
Yep.
like so that you weren't biting into carrots, but they were just there.
I was waiting for Ian to say church.
So I guess I heard mustard and I was like, oh man, I could really go for some potato salad right now, and that's how I like it. I don't think there's such a thing as too much, and it's got to be yellow mustard. Yellow mustard is what I do for a potato salad, and I'll just make some and I'll just eat it my fucking self. I don't give a shit.
If we could take a quick aside, I think everyone thinks their mother made the best whatever she made in the world.
And there's
when
there's
they
some
were younger.
And there's some people that don't actually feel that. They just say that, thinking their mom is like in a bush going, he's talking about my potato salad.
Yeah, because like everyone's mom had that one dish that they're like, dude, you gotta come over.
Yeah.
Mom's making this tonight, and they're like,
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Right.
My mom was dead, so she can't hear any of this. But she was great. She was actually great at grilling. Because we think of like grilling as like a man's activity. She was a really good griller, but she would do this thing whenever we would have steak. She would marinate them in teriyaki.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my mom did that.
And she loved it. And I mean, like, I ate it. Like, I'm not going to not eat it.
Well,
but
your mom loved you. Fucking marinated that shit in teriyaki before
it wasn't
That's
love.
love.
It wasn't your jam, though?
No.
Not really?
I mean, like, I would eat it, but I just like, I like the taste of steak. Like, I just, throw
That's
some
fair.
salt and pepper on there.
See, I was talking.
Let it sit for like a day. Like marinate it, whatever you're gonna marinate it in. Like let it sit for a day and then throw it on. But
S&P's a choice for you. Yeah.
I've been such a horrible marinator though, because I would put stuff in the refrigerator at like noon one day and like, oh yeah, that's gonna be tomorrow's dinner, and then I keep going in there to get something to drink. And I go, I need you in me. And, and my wife comes home. She's like, "What are you doing? That's Wednesday's dinner." I'm like, "I fucked up. It's everywhere. It's under my nails."
I have two thoughts. I have two thoughts on like when it comes to steak, because I don't marinate steak. I'm very simplistic when it comes to steak.
Yeah.
And I've had long discussions with people on how to cook steak.
Yeah.
First of all, if you're doing it well done, you get the fuck out. Because at that point, you're just asking for, I just want something to chew on for 8 hours. Go get a stick of gum, get some beef jerky,
right.
have a good time being gross. Medium rare or medium. I love prime rib. Rare. I'm weird. Whatever. If it's still bleeding, great. If the cow had a nickname, I'd like to know. I made a steak last night.
You're going down today, Pete.
Good job, Frank. Good job being I do just pepper on the steak to start off, and I'll let it sit so it gets about room temperature. Just pepper.
Yeah.
And then I'll throw it on the grill, like 4 minutes on one side, 5 minutes on the other, flip it again for like a minute, and then let it rest. And then I do salt afterwards.
Yep.
Okay.
Because then the salt soaks up all that flavor. And another QC comic, Ryan Proctor, he told me about that. And I was like, you know what, fuck, next time I make a steak, I'll try it. Correct.
Absolutely correct.
Amazing.
Well, the salt's going to dry it out if you put it on beforehand.
Right, and I never, because I was always like salt and pepper.
Like, you put salt and pepper to make sure that...
Beforehand, so it's seasoned. No, pepper first, because the pepper's going to just add flavor. It's not going to dry it out, and then you do salt, because the salt's going to soak it up and act like
so that it
sauce.
doesn't get too dry, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Julian, if you're ever wondering what the Quad City stand-up scene is like nowadays, it's just a bunch of 30-something-year-old dudes meeting up, and outside of the venue, you'll walk by and hear like, oh yeah, I mean, if you're working for a Bouillon Bays, you want to go with that sounds delicious.
Like, oh, are the chefs on a break?
Right.
Right.
You guys talking about steak tartare?
Right.
I will say this: I have my steak tastes have evolved. I used to be that gross person, and it's weird. It's almost like being in AA, where it's like I'm Julian, and I used to like steak, well done. Like and here's the thing though. I saw a documentary when I was a kid on people eating undercooked meat and getting sick, and it was only about chicken, but I equated it because I was like 5 to every other meat there was. Right. So I needed my meat so well done that it was dry and just disgusting. Never ate steak with ketchup, but I was like borderline. Gotcha. And my wife is like you, where if we go out to eat and she wants a steak, she wants them to bring the cow to the table, kill it in front of her, cut a piece off of its haunches, and lay it on the plate. Off. Like, that's it. It doesn't need take the collar off. It doesn't need fire for her. Like, if you can just lay the still bleeding heart in front of her.
I don't even want that thing to see a fucking candle.
I went on a date with a girl who ordered a steak rare and it came out medium rare, and she sent it back. She's
that's my wife.
Like,
fine. If it comes out medium rare, it's still fine. Like, you're still going to get all that good flavor.
No, I know, but it was just her preference.
No, I can't tell you how many steaks I've seen sent back for being not rare enough.
Really?
For being rare, but not rare enough.
See, if you got
she was black and blue.
It's blue rare, right?
They call it black and blue, where it's like we had a guy who used to come into Village Inn, and he'd say he'd get it rare, and it'd always be 2 done. He came back into the kitchen one day. He's like, give me the steak. So he puts the steak on. 30 seconds on one side, 30 seconds on the other side, put it on the plate. Like, that's how he wanted it. He wanted warmed up, dead
raw meat.
No, Julie, when I imagine your wife, I imagine her being like, this looks like it was under fluorescent lights for too long. Take it back.
No, 100%. You're not fucking wrong. Of course, no, because she worked in the restaurant industry for so long. She can absolutely tell if something was sitting under the lights for too damn long. Right. And if it's. I mean, she'll cut into it. She'll give them the benefit of the doubt. She'll be like, maybe the grill was turned up really high and just the outside got seared or something like that.
Maybe the plate got passed over the stove top.
But no, if you cook it like rare, like you and I think of rare, and leave it under the lights for more than about 30 seconds, it's coming back to the kitchen with it.
I'll be honest with you. If anything, out of me and my wife is the one that likes the rare steak. I still, my steak tastes have not evolved. I'm still an infant. I'm a little boy. I've accepted that. But the one thing I've learned between my wife and I is one night, like we went out on a date, and the talk of like maybe a little bit of alone time in the bedroom was coming up. I was like, oh yeah, like it's getting to be that time of night. You know what time it is.
I do.
And then we had a conversation of steak. like just before, like it was go time, and she